Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Sign the Traitors, brought to you by Silent Podcasts, where anything but silent. I'm your host, Katie. I'm here with my co-host this season, Isaiah. Isaiah, it's Friday. We're back at it. How you doing this week?
Yo, it's Trader Friday. Now it's good. How you doing, Katie? I'm very excited to talk about this episode that I did watch
Me
while I was at
too.
work. You know,
Oh,
yeah, it was
nice.
good. It was good.
Getting paid to watch the Traitors. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, this episode, I mean, like, as I've said probably every episode by now, I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I am on Blue Sky, and the discourse is carried over to Blue Sky. And there's a lot of feelings about what went down this week and some of the gameplay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear your thoughts about it because a lot was going on. So we'll just jump right in. How do you feel about you know, as we left off last week? Boston Rob had eliminated or like single-handedly basically eliminated Bob the drag queen. And we had all
Mhm.
saw like Danielle was annoyed, Carolyn was annoyed by the decision. They were kind of forced into voting for Bob when they really didn't want to. Saw a little bit of it play out in the turret. Did that go the way you expected? Because I was expecting a little more heat to come Boston Rob's way. And we didn't really get that much
Um,
heat.
it went the exact way I thought it would go. Because at the end of the day, it's still a game, and despite how frustrated you are, that at least in that moment, I don't think that they needed to like blow up or anything. They could voice like annoyance, whatever, but you know, only a matter of time till if you make the guy feel upset, then like he'll do the same exact thing to you too, you know. So
Mhm.
it went just the way I went. I didn't expect for them to let Rob control who got killed as much as quickly as they did. I thought
Yeah.
they would show a little bit more pushback. But hey, I mean, it is what it is. I was kind of it was very a lot more smoother, I can say, than most people thought.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, Carolyn gave him a little more heat, I think, than Danielle did. She pretty much was like, "Did Bob say your name though? Or did he just say the three new guys? Like, did he say your name?" And I feel like she kind of clocked him a little bit in the confessional, especially where she was like, he wants to be the leader, he wants to be the one calling the shots. And Bob was calling the shots with Danielle. Like they were a power couple. And I think there is some truth to that Rob was feeling a little intimidated by the amount of power that Bob had and wanted to just like nip that. So I don't know. The girls played nice, but neither one of them left that turret trusting Boston Rob. I'm with you though. I
Right.
didn't think they would let him. There's two of them. There's one of him. I don't know why they let him control the murder yet again.
Yeah, I mean, listen, but that's one of Rob's strengths is like he's playing, he's full on like in mob boss mode, which is so.
Mhm.
Like I said, I like the way he plays, you know. So it was very interesting to see it in 4K, and you know, a lot of people expected like Rob to get dragged or something. I'm like, that's not really Danielle's style. And Carolyn is like obviously she can speak up for herself, but she's a lot more timid, you know. So
Yeah.
they know that Rob is in a very powerful position, and I don't think they're going to try to challenge that, at least in that moment.
Yeah. I think it's the right decision. I think
Mhm.
it would have gone not great for them if they did it any other way than they did it
Right.
in the turret. But they do talk a little bit about who to murder. Sam comes up, and it seems like both Carolyn and Danielle agree that Sam should be the murderer. No one would suspect him. He's clearly a faithful. No, it wouldn't tie back to anybody. I actually think Sam was probably the right decision of who to murder, but they did not go that route. Uh,
Mhm.
we also hear Robin's name brought up by Rob. So we get another housewife once again brought up
Mhm.
as a murder candidate. And Carolyn suggests Gabby so they could take some numbers away from the Barbies. And Rob kind of like pushes back on that too. And it's like, they don't even vote together. Like they didn't even vote together last night. But Danielle is like, they have numbers. They have three of them to vote. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens in the breakfast. But we do leave with both of them saying they don't trust Rob. So doesn't really go the way I expected to go throughout the rest of the episode, but we'll get there. I don't want to jump too far ahead because this episode had a lot of turns a lot of left turns I wasn't expecting.
Right.
Um, Going to breakfast, this is like not a super eventful breakfast. I think
Mhm.
there are a lot that are a little more eventful than this one, but there are a couple of things I noted down. Dylan is just like a Boston Rob stan. Like the dude is obsessed. Even like when Boston Rob walked in, he was like, "Oh, classing it up a little, Rob." Like, he is so like starry eyed staring at Boston Rob. It's kind of funny.
Listen, a lot of people thought that Dylan was going to be Cody 2.0 to Derek just because he got a shield. Little did they know he would be Rob's little protege.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
it's very funny. I like Dylan. I think Dylan is a breath of fresh air personally, and I'm liking him this season.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with Dylan. I think I've seen, again, like, some discourse about Dylan on the timeline. I think he's inoffensive. He's playing the
Right. So
game. He's
yeah,
doing what he's gotta
whatever.
do. Yeah,
Get a
exactly. Yeah.
life.
The other thing I wanted to mention about this breakfast is Carolyn comes in and she's, like, out of breath. She looks, like, a little exasperated. And then we hear, like, Bob Harper again. This is the, like, 5th time we've heard Bob Harper say something rude about Carolyn, and he just basically says, like, "She looks disheveled, she's all over the place." He's just so rude. I find him to be rude. I don't know what you think about Bob Harper, but I'm like, "Dude, enough with you."
He's messy for sure.
Yeah.
But and this doesn't, it kind of does. I'm very shocked at how the traders are not looking at some players, and Bob Harper is definitely one of them. I feel like he's just like such an obvious faithful that
Mhm.
like, and he's so outspoken and not afraid of anything. I just never really understood why they just kind of let him roam free. Maybe it's because like all his reads are incorrect, it seems. Up until like this episode, like his reads
Mhm.
have been horrific. So maybe that's why. But I feel like Bob Harper is one of those guys that like the longer you keep in the game, the more obvious he's a faithful, and the harder it's going to be to get him out unless you just kill him. Just do it. I don't understand the reasoning. I forget if he had a shield or something, but yeah,
I
like
think
do
he
it.
might have had a I feel like everybody had a shield last episode because of that challenge, but yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, I agree with you. I feel like there's no rhyme or reason to any of these murders that they're making, which is exactly why when they said they should murder Sam, Sam
Mhm.
also is an obvious faithful that no one's gonna vote out at the round table, so it would have made perfect
Right.
sense to get rid of him. I agree with you about Bob, like, they should get rid of Bob too. He's never gonna get voted out, and he's close with everybody, like, he's making friends with everyone, so, like, you wanna get someone like that out. You don't wanna keep them around to, like, gain more trust in people
Right.
and momentum because then it's just gonna become more difficult down the line. Um, Dylan also says to Danielle that Carolyn's all over the place, and we get a confessional from Carolyn, basically just saying, like, people don't take her seriously, and that's exactly what she wants in the game, so she's getting what she wants, which is good, and we kinda see that pay off a little bit later, which we'll get to. But Danielle after breakfast, Danielle gets a oh, well, I guess we should talk about Robin. They did murder Robin. Robin is the murder. How do you what do you think about that decision?
I thought it was horrible.
Yeah.
Usually the kills this season, I've been like, was it the best choice? No, but like I'm not angry at it. This one felt very, I don't know. I didn't think Robin was the right choice. I didn't think Nikki was the right choice. I just think that
Mhm.
there were way better options out there than these two. I'm looking at Derek, who's literally a detective. I'm looking
Yeah.
at Bob Harper. I'm looking at Ivar, who is no fear whatsoever of like bringing things to the table and connecting the dots and bringing things up to people. They're just like way juicier targets out there to kill or I mean, Dylan is good with all three traders, so I get not him, but I just feel like there's way better options out there than Robin, who is obviously doing horrible reads. She's an obvious trader, but if she's going to be causing chaos and confusion, why not just keep her in?
Right.
Bad pick. Nikki too,
Yeah.
bad pick. Horrible
Yeah.
picks all
I
around.
think both everything in this episode was a bad decision. I think everything everyone did in this episode was bad. Anybody that has any power anyway. I totally agree with you. I feel like any of the new guys, I mean, I guess you can't really get rid of all 3 of them because then it would just be obvious that Rob is the traitor, but, like, either Wes or Derek would be a choice to murder because especially Derek. I mean, I agree with you. I know if I'm Danielle and I know Derek, if I'm Rob and I'm familiar with Derek, like, he needs to be the first to go. The minute that he's free, I mean, I do think he had a shield, but still, like, it just doesn't even feel like they're talking about it.
I think,
Um
in fairness, I think it's because Derek, unlike Wes, who we'll talk about in a little bit, has and maybe we can't catch this on camera because it's an edited show. It feels like from an outsider perspective, what we're not seeing is that Derek has done an effective job integrating himself, not only
Mhm.
with Danielle, who they're tight, but I think that him and Rob. still have this fake like, oh, me, you, and
Mm,
Wes came in, so we're tight. I don't think Rob was even looking at players like Wes or
yeah,
Derek up until this episode. I guess that's more credit to Derek. That I don't think that he's been very particular when he speaks, and it seems like he's on the wrong read a lot of the season. Sometimes, so I think it's like, why take out Derek if he's not on our path? He's protecting us. But I think they're going to be sadly mistaken come next episode. We're going to have to see. The Traitors are being very optimistic about their
yeah,
situation, and they're more worried about each other than the actual faithfuls in the house. It's kind of
right.
wild.
It is wild, and I think they're doing the fatal mistake that I think they're making is that they're underestimating people that they shouldn't be
Yeah.
underestimating, and I'm not only saying Faithfuls, I also think they're underestimating Carolyn, and I think that's gonna be a huge mistake, but, like, Rob and Danielle, I think, are letting their egos get in the way of actually thinking through how they should be playing in an optimal way to make sure that they are safe. They're playing
Hmm.
fast and loose and recklessly, and it's gonna really get in the way. I mean, it's already happening. It's already there's suspicion on both of them. They're playing super messy. But we'll get into it. But yeah, shout out to Robin. She was more entertaining on this season than I expected her to be. I was very surprised that they got rid of her because she was so obviously loud and wrong. It didn't really make sense to me that she was the one they chose. Like
Yeah.
clearly she was a faithful and clearly she was completely on the wrong side of things. So like why not keep her like you said to stir up more chaos and like
Yeah.
put suspicion on other people because she was not coming for any of them. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
Um,
think. I mean, I get. I guess. One thing that Rob was correct about was taking out Robin and another housewife is so easy because I don't think anyone has been able to really suspect who is a killer based off of the killings, which is what you want to happen. They're really kind of getting suspected because of the stuff they're doing inside the house.
yeah.
But I mean, fair is fair. I don't think they've been sloppy with getting caught with their kills, and no one can really tell who's killing who for what reason. It's all the
Yeah.
mistakes that they're doing outside of it. But
I don't know. I feel
yeah,
like to me, killing all 3 of the 4 housewives is so obvious that it's not Dolores, it's not Tom Sandoval probably, and it's not Sierra because I think the Bravo people I mean, they would probably vote out Tom Sandoval at the round table, but I don't think a Bravo person is gonna kill another Bravo person outright. Like, I think
see,
that kind of, like, rules that group out a little bit,
we
and
say that, but then they're all targeting Sierra. You know what I'm saying? And
not the
then it's
Bravo
like,
people.
well, if you kill all the Bravo people, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, who
Yeah.
says they will kill Tom's up next soon? And it's like, all right, who's killing all the Bravo people? Oh, it can't be a Bravo person, so they're just going to keep picking them off, and it makes it
Mhm.
easier, And
True.
they're like, literally, Sierra is like getting targeted, so it's like, I mean, like, I see the logic. Even though I don't really agree with it, it's also not like necessarily bad. Like,
Mm.
I'm very optimistic with their tactics with these kills so far.
I also think we don't have faithfuls that are really that
Yeah,
smart at this
we
game
don't.
either. Like, it's not
We
only the
don't.
traitors that are bad at this game, it's also the faithfuls this season,
Yeah.
so there's also
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
think anybody that actually had a shot, like Jeremy or Tony, to figure it out, other than Wes or Derek, I think Wes and Derek are the 2 that
I'll
were
give
and
Dylan some
maybe
credit.
Dylan. Yeah, and Dylan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are I think Dylan's gonna be blinded by Boston Rob in the long run, but I do think, we're not it's not like we have a bunch of brainiacs in this house that are figuring it out. Um but anyway, after breakfast, oh, well, in during breakfast, actually, before we leave the room, Ivor tells Derek and Carolyn that Wes came up with a really great theory last night after the round table, and then explains that Wes said, as we talked about last week, how do you know who's 100% a traitor? You don't unless you're a traitor yourself. And Carolyn gives us a confessional because I was like, "Oh god, of course he's saying this in front of Carolyn." But she's like, "Yeah, Boston Rob is messy. Like he's playing a bad game. That was a bad game move. He put a huge target on his back." So it does not seem like she's going to spill those beans to Rob. But interesting that he said it to Derek as well because Derek's spidey senses are tingling about Mr. Boston Rob.
I think Carolyn is correct to be like wary about Rob, but I feel like she's making a mistake that like not working with him is like, I don't know. I feel like Carolyn should work with Rob because I do feel like the survivor contingency, whatever you call it, is still strong. I don't think Rob or Carolyn wanted Jeremy to get killed, and I think that this is all being put on the back of Tony's
Mhm.
elimination, I guess. But it's like I just I don't think Carolyn genuinely has a real reason to distrust Rob to the extent, at least at this point in the game, maybe later on, but
Yeah.
like at least right now, she doesn't really have a real reason to not want to work with Rob outside of the fact that he has this history of being like this legend. She has way more reasons to be afraid of someone like a Danielle or a Bob when he was in the game than a
Yeah.
Rob to me. You know what I'm saying? And well, we'll talk more when we get deeper into it, but I don't think Rob has ever done anything to Carolyn specifically to warrant like any distrust, even when he's like blatantly told her in front of Danielle and behind Danielle, like, we're voting this way, like make sure you vote on the right side.
Right.
I don't get it. Like I get the spotty senses, but it's like the timing just isn't really making sense for me with Carolyn.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think Carolyn is letting it all kind of get to her head a little bit that she can't trust Rob. I think
Yeah.
it's just maybe her experience thus far as a traitor is like no one's listening to her, no one's paying attention to
Hmm.
her. She wasn't in on the decision to go for Bob. She's been kind of on the outside the whole time. So like I can understand that she doesn't feel supported by anybody, but I do agree that it doesn't feel like for her now is the time to go for Rob for sure. But I could understand at the beginning of this episode that she would want to partner up with Danielle if they feel like they can't trust Rob, but we see quickly that's probably not the right decision for
Hmm.
her. Um, After the breakfast, we hear just a little bit about who's suspicious of what. Still a lot of suspicion on Nikki, even though that didn't go anywhere last night. This feels I mean, obviously, we're not in the house, but it does feel like it's a reach, the Nikki and Sierra thing, like, I'm kinda surprised that the group is still talking about this. I don't know what you think about it, but it just feels like
Uh,
it's a non-thing, like, it's just doesn't mean that one of them had to be a traitor in that coffin.
like I said, I don't think the house has much to work on because the kills have just been straight Bravo. So it's like we don't have any data to work off of. Um, they're fresh off of catching a faithful. So up until like later conversations, it's like, oh, I'm not suspecting Rob. He did such a good job. Um, there, even though we call these people bad because we see everything in the viewpoint of a faithful, this is a very hard house to really
Oh, yeah.
navigate because everyone is being very like closed with their information. The previous two seasons, we've seen people like rat people out so quickly, information just spreads. Information isn't really spreading that fast this season up until the round table because
Mhm.
everyone's waiting until the round table to really say things this season.
It
It's
also just
not
feels like they kinda hate each other.
that too. They really don't like
Yeah,
each other.
like, nobody likes each other in this house.
The challenges has brought such a different dynamic to this
Mhm.
house. So it's like it's tough. It's tough
Yeah,
to read this like these people.
totally, for sure. Um, we do get Ivor again spilling the beans, but directly to Rob this time about what Wes said the night before about, how do you know someone's 100% a traitor unless you're a traitor yourself?
Yeah.
Bob pretty much repeats, I mean, Ivor pretty much repeats exactly what Wes said to Rob. And Rob goes and finds Wes pretty immediately and is like, "Hey, can we talk for a second?" And Wes kind of goes on the, offensive a little and is like, "Hey man, people are saying your name." And Rob is like, "Yeah, I heard it's you." And then repeats
Yeah.
exactly pretty much word for word what Wes said. And Wes is like, "No, I didn't say that." What do you think about this tactic from Wes?
It was terrible, if you ask me. I don't think Wes was a good liar.
No, it
But
didn't come off
I
as the truth.
not at all. But I agree with the gameplay of like spreading that. I just think like I mean, obviously you don't own it, but like you could be like, I did say something in that fashion, but like it wasn't specifically that. Instead, he was
Yeah,
just saying, I didn't say that at all. I was complimenting you. That's full
right.
of shit. It's like,
Mhm.
bro, everyone knows you were just on House of Villains. Everyone knows you're from Challenge. Everybody knows of you, even if you haven't watched the show. I know Wes, and I've never watched the Challenge.
Mhm.
So it's like, be for real. Like, you think Rob's gonna believe this shit? Like I don't know, but he's from the Challenge. He's not from Big Brother Survivor, so I get it.
Yeah.
But he's not the manipulator that he thinks he is. That's for sure.
I kinda liked it. I mean, it was a mess, but I
Yeah,
thought it was
it was
pretty
funny.
hilarious. It was pretty hilarious. He pretty much
Yeah.
just yeah, like you said, he was just saying he did it to say he was complimenting him and saying, like, "I would have never done that because, like, I don't have, like, the balls to do that," basically, and, like, turned it around as if it was a compliment, but did not admit to anything that Ivor said that he said. Rob did
Right.
not look like he was buying it, but he didn't Rob didn't tell us in a confessional one way or another. He just said, like, I gotta manage Wes," pretty much.
Mhm.
Would not be surprised if Wes gets murdered. Probably would be a good decision if Wes got murdered.
The problem with Wes getting killed is I feel like Ivar, low key, even if he doesn't realize it, set a huge booby
Oh,
trap
yeah.
for him. And I think Rob's smart enough to not do this because he knows that Ivar at least knows in I think Sam know
Yeah,
that he was throwing his name out. So it's like you can't really kill him just yet. He still kind of has a use for him. I don't even know who you kill right now if you're Rob.
mm,
Like this is a really tricky round to operate. Like he's under a lot of hot water going into the next day. So
for
this is
sure.
a bad spot for Rob.
Well,
I
I
wouldn't
don't
kill Wes though.
I don't think I think it would totally point the finger at Rob. I do think Rob is playing a little aggressively, so I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if he went for it and did the
I
move,
mean,
same
he has
way
no other
Danielle did for
choice.
Jeremy. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Why
we'll
not play
see.
aggressively at this point if people are thinking Gio?
I
It's
mean,
like
yeah,
might as
he kinda
well.
set the precedent for himself that he's gonna have to play that way moving forward,
Yeah.
but we'll see. I hope not. I'm rooting for Wes. I hope he doesn't go, but,
Do it and
I'm a
get a
Wes
shield.
fan. I
Yeah.
know. He didn't even try, surprisingly, so, um, we do see Rob then pull Carolyn. It looked like it was, like, right after this conversation, but we don't actually know when it was, and tell her, "I'm with you 100%. I will not do you wrong in this game. Like, I have you till the end. You're the only person in this house that I trust 100%." And Carolyn was kind of like, "Yeah, but, like, what happened yesterday?" She, like, even to his face wasn't like, "Okay, I got you too." She kind of was just like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can trust you."
I don't know why she's so confused when he told her what's going.
I don't know either. I think
Like what
that
the
is the
hell?
one time I feel like Rob is being truthful so far in the
Yeah.
house that he was with Carolyn, because he needs an ally. He needs somebody, and right now he has nobody.
And she needs an ally. Like
She really does,
use each
desperately.
other for short term at least until later on.
Yep, totally. But she runs right to Danielle, or Danielle kinda pulls her, and is
Yeah.
like, "What did you think about last night?" And she was just like, "I mean, would have been good to be on the decision. I didn't love it. I Why are we coming after each other?" And then she tells Danielle what Rob said, that he's like, "Oh, I'm
Mhm.
totally with you. I've got you. I've got you. I don't really trust him." And then she's like, Is he saying that to you?" Which he's not saying to Danielle. So this is where things go left for me because Danielle kind of coming out of that conversation, at least in the confessional, is like, I really need Rob to get out of this house. Rob's got to go.
Mhm.
And I need a strong traitor to work with that I can trust. And it's not Carolyn. I need to get Carolyn out of the house first, recruit a traitor that I can trust to go after Rob, which is so backwards to me. So, I don't even know how she got to the conclusion that she can't trust Carolyn because Carolyn has done nothing to Danielle to make it seem like she can't trust her. So this is where I'm losing it now with Danielle.
I don't agree with it, but I mean I see her mindset because I think even Bob said this, and people who play with Carolyn on Survivor said this. Carolyn is just a very hard individual to read. I think Bob the Dragon and Bob Harper said this. Carolyn's a hard person to read because she's just such a wild card. She's so sketchy because like she makes like these faces and it's like how do you read a person like that? So I can see the hesitancy to like want to work with a Carolyn. I personally I don't even think I could work with a Carolyn. She's such a loose cannon. She's a finalist for a reason. Um, but and even though I don't agree with the move, like there's some logic to it, but it's about timing, as she was
Right.
saying with Rob. You can do this a little bit later. You know what I'm saying? The way the house is going, Rob can easily get voted out by himself.
Yes.
So if you and if you want to replace him or her with like Derek, as I'm assuming, or a Dylan, you can easily do that without having to do anything actively. Are you I think people forget the strongest attribute of a Suri, and I hate always bringing it back to Suri, but she was so
She played a
successful,
great game.
is sitting back and letting everyone else do the chaos. Dan Giesling and BB10 sitting back and let everyone else do the crazy stuff. And then Derek, what made Derek so great? Sit back, let all these people explode, and then stay out of the drama. And Danny, I don't know. This wasn't the worst thing that she did this episode, but
No.
I wasn't angry at her saying that I need to get Carolyn out and replace her so I can get Rob, because I do think that that's Derek for her, and that's fine. But I just don't believe that she should have actively took steps toward this episode. I think it was so early, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just so circumstantial because even when she gets Carolyn out, you still have Rob. You're not gonna be able to recruit on your own and pick who the traitor is. We've seen Rob control all the murders since he became a traitor. So I don't
Mm,
really know why Danielle thinks she would have the power to choose the person that she wants to be a traitor that would go with her against Rob when Rob would still be a traitor in this equation that would also
yeah.
be recruiting. And I don't see a world where he would choose someone that he would think would not be with him 100%. And I think even if they
I
chose Dylan, I do think Dylan,
yeah.
yes, he's with both of them, but I don't see a world where Dylan as a traitor would go after Rob with Danielle.
I was literally talking about this with a friend. I'm like, the only two people that they could both hypothetically like agree on is easily Derek or Dylan. And Derek would be the best case scenario for her, but Dylan realistically is the only one on good terms with all three traders that they will all agree on, you know?
Right.
So I this is just a sticky situation. She just has to be patient and wait. And she did a lot of dumb shit this episode. I'm gonna be honest. Like I knew it was coming. I literally said in the draft, I'm like, Danielle has bad decision making sometimes, and she's going to do something to piss everybody off. And remember I said, I
You
literally said
said,
this to you.
"Don't
I'm like,
embarrass
just
me."
wait. I literally said, everyone just prepare yourself. She's going to do something to piss everybody off in the fandom, and this was this episode. But
Yeah, this was a
yeah,
rough one. It was
yeah,
a rough one. Yeah, I think this is all just a complete and total misplay from
yeah.
Danielle, but we have so much more to talk about with Danielle. Also, if you're
Mm-hmm.
watching on YouTube, apologies, my camera is acting a little strange, so if I go off screen, I'm still here. I just might have to reset my camera, but I can still hear, so no worries.
Good, good.
Um Okay, so let's get to the mission. So, on the way to the mission, not a ton happens, but Bob does drop a little lie to Nikki in the car that Bob, the drag queen, said that he wanted to vote for Nikki to get her out. Rob tells us this is a lie. Interesting that this comes into play later, but kind of in hindsight, a good move for Rob to kind of drop that on Nikki, because we did see her very surprised by hearing that
Right.
information. So that was pretty interesting. But we get to the challenge, and it's a little bit of a twist on the riddle challenge that we've seen over the last few seasons, where, typically they're reading a verse out of like a large book and then they have to find the answer. This one
Mm-hmm.
is a little different where, they have to answer a riddle with a jar. The answer is on a wall underneath, like, a jar thing, and they have to pick the
Mm-hmm.
right jar off the wall, throw it on the ground to see what color the I guess it's like powder or whatever, sand inside is to know if the answer is right or wrong, and then if they get it right, there's 2 shields on the wall, and they take a photo off the wall, they put it under the shield, and that person has a shield for now, because the next person that goes up can then replace that photo, and give themselves or someone else a shield that they want to give. And so, like, if you go early, the likelihood of you keeping your shield is pretty low. I like that
Okay.
twist. I think it's pretty interesting because it is a little
Sounds cool.
strategic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that they're doing
And
a little bit like more strategic stuff that impacts the game.
I don't think that they expected the outcome that they got this episode with this challenge, because
Yeah.
I was expecting everyone to just put their own faces up. And I was like, this is gonna be boring. And here comes Danielle with more chaos, Katie.
So this is like peak. Well, it's not even peak yet, but it's up there. It's up there. So not a ton of interesting stuff happening. Bob Harper goes first, picks something wrong. Derek
It's
goes
horrible.
next.
The
Yeah,
challenges.
he just like got up without even listening to the to the riddle and just like picked the word shield.
It's just like the
And
maze where
yeah,
they
like
told him
what a
which door to
dumbass.
pick and he picks the
And he
wrong
picked the
one.
wrong
Yeah.
one. I know. What a mess. Um then Derek goes and he gets it right. And he's like, sorry if this is selfish, but I'm putting my own face up, which, like, of course, that's the move, not selfish. Tom Sandoval goes next. He gets his question right. And then here comes Danielle. Gets the question right. And she tells us in a confessional, I want to do a non selfish move so these people think I'm a faithful. And she picks Dolores's face off the wall and is like, I feel bad that you guys keep getting killed, so I'm going to put Dolores on the wall. So everybody is like, what's going on? We get a confessional from Rob, and he's like, what is she doing? Everyone is confused. And then she takes it a step further by, instead of replacing Tom Sandoval, who would be the likely choice because she's allied with Derek, she leaves Tom Sandoval's face on the wall, so he's still safe, and replaces Derek's face with Dolores. So not only is she putting a ton of suspicion on herself by saying, I'm not nervous to get murdered, essentially because I'm a traitor, she's also taking the face down of one of her only allies that she can trust in the house 100%. And she's taking safety away from him and keeping Tom Sandoval, who she's not working with.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I didn't agree with the first one she did. I really didn't agree with this the second one.
Yeah, oh, it gets worse. It gets worse.
Yeah. But I don't know. It was just so obvious to me that, like, she was, like, feeling safe. And I mean, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but it's crazy how it feels like this challenge honestly didn't do anything to her perception in the house. And it kind of shows, like, how great of a social game she's kind of playing that we're not seeing. But she does. Danielle is always her worst enemy. I'm realizing that. Like, she does a lot more damage to her game than other people. Like, she didn't need to do any of this.
No, she definitely did not need to do any of what she did. And it kind of just keeps getting worse from here. Like, like you said, the next move, she goes again. Chrishell goes up. She takes Tom Sandoval's face down, kind of shades him in the moment, and then Danielle goes again, and she instead, because she feels bad now, takes Derek's face back, and then takes whose face? Chrishell. She takes Chrishell's face down once again. Does not choose herself and puts Derek's face back on the wall. So now it's Derek and Dolores that are safe, both because of Danielle. And Derek is like, what? Like, you didn't have to do that. And then Dolores clocks it out loud and is like, but aren't you also afraid to get murdered? And then I don't know if this means, like, it all hits Danielle and she didn't realize what this was looking like, but then she starts having, like, a meltdown and she's, like, getting upset. She starts crying. And even Alan is like, are you having regrets? And she's like, yeah, I'm having regrets. And Dolores is like, stop. You can't stand there and cry like this. Like, I'm not going to accept you crying. Like, just stop what you're doing. And her and Derek are kind of, like, going back and forth about how, like, ridiculous Danielle is being. Like, this is so bad.
Yeah, I like I said, I think we said this during episode 2. You need to have, like, selective outrage and breakdowns, and when you do something so many times, it's going to lose its power. And I think that this is the firsthand example of, like, people don't care that, like, you're crying anymore, because it's like, you did this, you
did it
bad
yourself.
bad stuff
So bad. Yeah, we see Carolyn in a confessional. We see Chrishell saying, like, this is shady and weird. I do think we didn't see the immediate fallout from this in this episode, but I think there is going to be fallout from this. I think it probably, just because it didn't come up at the roundtable, it's not worth them even showing in the edit. But there's so many confessionals and people saying, like, this doesn't make sense. What is she doing? That it's got to come back to her. Like, everybody noticed it. So I just don't see a world where this doesn't come back as something to point to for her.
This was a mess in general. I'm very afraid for
total
her.
Mess. So bad.
Tired of her.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. Not great stuff. Sierra wins the final shield. She takes Derek's face down, which is the obvious decision to make. Derek directly came for her the night before, but you do see Derek in the pews being like, oh, like, he's annoyed. It's like, of course, dude, you came directly for her last night and you tried to do it again tonight. So, like, she's not going to save you. But she gets the final shield. So it ends up being Dolores and Sierra who come away with the shields tonight. So they are safe from murder. So we know we're not going to lose another housewife.
Sierra is just, like, struggling. You know what I'm saying? She's going through it.
I know. I feel for Sierra. I feel like she's on the outside of the Barbies for whatever reason, and I don't feel like she has a super close ally. I mean, like, we've seen her work a little bit with Wes, and Wes, like, kinda try and bring her along, so I would like to see her be able to work with him a little more, but otherwise, she's just,
Mhm.
like, floating out on her own. I'm feeling for her.
100%,
Yeah,
100%.
and I like Sierra a lot, so
I
I'm hoping
think her
she picks it
days are
up.
numbered. I don't think she has any chance of winning just because this
No.
house is just so on her back at this point, it's sick.
Yeah, I know, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. After the mission, on the way back to the castle, Derek in the car once again says he's shocked at what Danielle did, and Tom Sandoval with his crazy eyes in the backseat was like, "Me too, man, I'm shocked too." So they're all, like, confused. In another car, Danielle is trying to do a little damage control here, and I don't think that this was the right move for her either, and she's like, "I just feel like I have a theory, and I'm, like, distracted by my theory, no one's onto it, and a traitor is a female, and it's someone no one expects, and it's Carolyn." So she's, like, striking. She's not dropping seeds, planting seeds, dropping hints, whatever. She's just going right for it, and everyone in the car is like, "What?" And even Dylan, you see them walking into the castle together, and he's like, I hear you, and I'm listening to you, but I completely disagree with you, like, there's no way."
It's back. I don't know what to tell.
I like, don't know why she even thought that this like, set her up or something, like, but you gotta do this in a smarter way than what you're doing right now.
I don't know where it's just like I don't know why this cast seems so impulsive to like just make moves based off of just like an instant feeling. Like,
Yeah,
and maybe this is just me because a lot of people are talking about the Big Brother players, and for sure I agree. But a
really
lot of
bad
these
track record.
people are just like I'm just so used to seeing some of these people play so calculated and maybe because big Traitors is a faster game or something, or maybe
Yeah.
it's the environment, but it just feels like a lot of people are making rookie mistakes when I'm just used to them being like these masterminds. But you know, different cast, different game. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you expect? You know, they're all technically newbies.
Yeah.
It's a lot of nonsense going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it probably does have a lot to do with the speed of the game. Big Brother is so long and they have so much time to think and plan and plot and not react immediately. And I think that's why generally Survivor players probably tend to do a little bit better because Survivor is a faster paced game, especially new Survivor. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like new Survivor is
Exactly.
super fast. But I mean, even when Suri was playing Big Brother, we heard her just say how hard Big Brother was because of the pace of the game. Like it's a
Yeah.
very long game and you have full weeks to think of like, "Oh, here's the move and let me strategize." Each week is each like, round of the game is a week long. So, yeah, I think the pace of the game is not working in the favor of these Big Brother players, but like it's actually shocking how generally bad at this Big Brother players seem to be, at least in the US.
It's sad.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's
um.
pretty rough.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Derek's still in it. He might save the reputation. Who knows?
I feel like he's getting recruited this season. I'm waiting.
I
Oh,
can see it.
well, depending on how this Rob thing goes, I can see him getting recruited. We're gonna wait, but I
Yeah,
see it.
I can see it. I can see it. We do also see Danielle tell Brittany. Oh yeah, we saw Brittany too. She's doing fine. We see Danielle tell Brittany as well about Carolyn, and Brittany pretty much flat out is like she is not capable. Like it's not an easy job. She's all over the place. Which again, credit to Carolyn for keeping all of these people off her scent because nobody is thinking that she has any credibility whatsoever in order to be a traitor. So great
Mhm.
traitor pick by the producers because it's pretty interesting to watch everybody discredit her, which I guess it kind of is the same thing that happened to her on Survivor, right? Like based on what you
Yeah.
said. So interesting. And Danielle lies to Brittany and says, "Well, she said your name." And to me, obviously I know what's going on, but even this was like bad acting by Danielle. I don't know if you thought the same thing, but I was like, Brittany's
Yeah.
got to see through this, right?
The moment she even said anything in the car, I was just like, "This is gonna go downhill." So yes, this is horrible acting. The rest of the day, it just seemed very desperate when it didn't
Yeah.
need to be.
Yeah, it's rough. Pretty rough. Um, the other notable thing that happens before the roundtable is that Chriselle pulls Boston Rob into a room and is like, Can I talk to you? I'm really scared to bring this up." And while I was watching this, I was like, what is she? I had no idea what she was going to say, but she ends up saying that she has a theory and that she actually thinks it is Nikki because of how she reacted when Boston Rob said what Bob the drag queen supposedly said about voting out Nikki and what her reaction was. So, big brain move by Rob to drop that lie because it ended up working in his favor.
I wonder. I This show would be so amazing with feeds. And I
I
wonder
know.
if when this actually happened, as well as what were her actual thoughts coming from this. And I feel like there's a little production touch on
Mm,
portions like this throughout the day.
interesting.
But it's still cool. Still cool though.
Why do you think that? In what way?
I just I don't think this was an effective move. Uh Especially if tomorrow, I'm talking like we're getting an episode tomorrow,
I
the next
wish.
day's outcomes are going to go the direction I think it will go, so
Okay.
um we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we will. We do also see right before the roundtable too, there's kind of like a group holding court, and Wes tells a group, like, I'm still 95% Nikki. Derek is like, "What do you think?" to Rob, and Rob is like, "Well, it would be the logical move, right? Like to look at one of them." We do get a confessional here where Derek's saying, like, Rob is on my radar. His demeanor has changed. It's a little strange. I'm gonna stick with Sierra because like you can't really go against the grain at this point, but like I'm looking at Rob. So
Yeah, I mean, look, he's saying more than that. He's saying that he's ready to take a shot.
yeah. Well, next week, I think, or after the roundtable, I think. But at this
Oh, was
point,
that? Oh, I'm so sorry.
no, that's okay. But I think, yeah,
Yeah,
but you're right. I mean, he's teeing that up for sure.
yeah.
I think he needs to get some more people on his side, which we do see him work on a little bit. But yeah, which honestly, for Danielle, it's just like, why not work with the allies you have as a faithful and put like if you were a faithful and like put the suspicion on Rob from that, like pick up on the energy and like you don't need to recruit a traitor to do it. The faithfuls are the ones that are going to vote out the traitors. Like you don't need another traitor to go for Rob. Just do it with
Context
the rest of
clues.
the people in the house. Like it just doesn't really make
Exactly.
sense why she's thinking about it that way.
She's not
She's
thinking. That's
not
that's the
thinking.
thing.
Yeah, that's the
There
problem.
you go.
That is the problem. Well, all right, so we get to the roundtable. Ivor, big Ivor episode. Shout out to Ivor's fans out there if he has any, because this was a big
I am
Ivor
one of them.
episode. Are you? You're an Ivor's
Shout out
fan?
to the Lord Ivar.
Lord Ivar. Um, he starts off, he says there's 3 names that are floating around. He points out Nikki and Sierra from the night before, and then he mentions the Boston Rob theory, and he basically asks Rob, like, explain to us why you're not a traitor based on this theory. Which I thought was a good tactic, and I actually don't think Rob did a great job here defending himself. He pretty
Hmm.
much is just like, "Well, look at the way Bob acted towards me and the way he acted when he was threatened." It's like, well, that doesn't really clear you
It just
very
feels
much.
like, hey, you're using profanity, so you must be a traitor.
Exactly, exactly. My least
Or
favorite
your
way to accuse someone.
energy, I can read energies, and your energy made me feel like you're a traitor. So, like,
Yep.
that just shows you how non-communicative this cast has been with each other, and they seriously just don't have any like. I think the challenges have really eliminated the teamwork aspect
Yeah.
of the traders and traded it in for chaos, and I'm okay with it.
I'm
I'm
okay
just
with
saying,
it
I
too.
realize it. I like it this way. I like it this way.
Yeah, I actually do. I mean, I agree with you. I think that the fact that they're like against each other in the missions and not all working as a team to get the money, like yes, they are, but
Hmm.
they're also working to get safety for themselves and be selfish, has totally taken away any like camaraderie because they're against
Yes.
each other at the round tables, they're against each other, just generally, and now like also in the challenge. I think I like it. Like you said,
Me
I'm in
too.
for the chaos. I like it.
Agreed.
Um, you know, Nikki speaks up. It says she feels like Rob is faithful because he's a great game player and it would be a really bad move to go against one of your own. But Sam does come in clutch here, and I totally agree with him. If Rob's not murdered by the traitors, like he's a traitor, which is so true. I mean,
Yeah.
like if you're allowed faithful that's completely right and gets one totally on your own, why are you still here? The traitors would have murdered you immediately. Immediately.
Yo, Sam was like, that's his name, right? Sam,
Yeah,
Brittany's
Sam.
ex.
Mhm.
The way he was like, I'm coming after you. If
Yeah,
you
he's like, "I'm
boy,
looking at you tomorrow."
if you don't sit down somewhere, like,
He's right,
but
though.
yeah, I think, but it might take something like a Danielle Reyes doing what she
Mhm.
did that might save Rob. For my sake, because I said he's going to survive the next 3 episodes.
Mm,
I hope he survives. But
I
outside of
don't
that,
know.
I think he's so screwed next episode. He's in a very dangerous position.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna if we bet money, I think I would be cleaning up on not making it past the next 3 episodes for Rob. I do not think he has much longer in this house. He's
Me
reckless.
neither.
Um, we do see Sierra then speak up, and then, like, the round table just basically becomes Sierra versus Nikki. Uh, I don't feel like there's, like, a ton here. Chrishell, I do think, comes in and gets super dramatic. She's crying. She's like, "I'm so nervous. I can't speak. I'm just so nervous." And she, I think, sticks the knife in and twists and is, like, the final blow that gets everybody to go against Nikki.
Hmm.
Um, Nikki, to be fair, does not do a great job defending herself. She doesn't really feel like she's trying that hard to stay. Feels like she's kinda just over it. I don't know what your vibe was on Nikki, but I wanted to see a little more fight from her.
I think Nikki was completely down to stay up until her friends kind of like turned on her.
Yeah,
And then at that point, she was just like, I just want you guys to look dumb as shit. So, like, I'm going to let you do that. Because the moment her friends started talking, I didn't hear a single peep from her for the rest of the episode. It was just like, I want you guys to look dumb. Because, like, I think if they were in the same situation, Nikki would have defended them regardless. Like,
yeah,
despite how I want the game to be played, the game is supposed to be played where, like, even if you know who a faithful is, you're supposed to work with them until the end. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
And I don't think that this season is definitely so invested in the traitor hunting aspect of it. Like, I don't think anyone, at least as far as I've seen this cast, really understand that, like, yo, you're supposed to work with the traitors, not try to go after them. So yeah.
Yeah.
I understood why she was quiet. Like, it was just like, just get me out of here at this point.
Yeah, she was over it for sure. I think
Yeah.
Sierra did a pretty good job arguing for herself, but I do think she if it's not Rob or Danielle next, it's gonna be Sierra next, especially if they don't murder her, which I don't know why well, they
Mhm.
can't because she has a shield, but I also don't know why they would, at
Right.
that point because she's gonna go. So, before they vote, Bob Harper does flip it back to Boston Rob a little bit, so there's still some attention on Rob. He does say, like, "Wouldn't it be the most badass move to take another traitor out? Like, you're the big dog, whatever." And Rob is just like, "Yeah, it would, but, like, that's not what happened," which is exactly what happened, Rob. Um, and then we vote. And as Dylan said, it's unanimous, but it wasn't unanimous because Nikki didn't vote for herself. And Dylan actually did not vote for Nikki. He voted for Gabby. He threw a vote, which was funny. Um, but everybody else voted for Nikki, and she's out of here.
Yeah, it was sad. I like Nikki. I thought that she
Yeah.
brought a lot of interesting energy to this game, and I think she would have been very interesting on the faithful team if she survived. I feel like we're just starting to get to know her.
Yeah.
In comparison to some other faithful who we've lost, it's like she actually had like a little storyline developing with the Bambies and everything. I would have liked to see Nikki. It's very sad that she's gone, but that's the game.
Yeah. I know I did like her. I didn't it felt like, everybody's really taking these coffin things really seriously, which,
Yeah,
I get there's not a lot to go on, but it does feel like you guys are playing right into the trap that's been set for you. So hopefully they
yeah.
realize maybe, hopefully Sierra has a fighting chance. I don't know if she will, but Nikki gave a little bit of a speech that like everybody's different, everybody has different personalities, which I didn't get from Nikki that she like wasn't bubbly and engaged. Like it seemed like she was friends
She
with
was talking about her
people.
ex when she said
Yeah,
that.
like that was weird. I guess cuz Sierra was like your emotions don't change. So I thought that speech was interesting, but she's a faithful. We lost Nikki. Bye,
Like I
Nikki.
said, it was giving you're using profanity. So,
Exactly. Well,
these
I'm a
roundtables have been
cop.
so unserious. I'm
Right.
sorry. Like,
You cursed, so that means you're guilty. Well, everyone's crying. All the girls are crying. Sierra's crying. Chriselle's crying. Gabby's crying. Everybody's crying. Chriselle feels like it's her fault. She did it, which like she kind of did it. I mean, like that's your girl, and you really just
Yeah.
publicly went against her. We do get a Tom Sandoval moment of just like, I know you hate me, but like, I really respect you speaking up, and I really respect that. So, we get one good Tom Sandoval moment every episode. I think that this was the one.
Tom Sandoval has been amazing this season. I'm just telling you.
He's fun TV. I mean, I hate the guy, but he's great TV. He's very fun to watch. That's why
You'll be a
Vanderpump Rules
Tom
is such a
Sandoval
great show.
stan. By the end of the season, you're gonna be a stan.
I won't, but that's why Vanderpump Rules is a really great show because they all make really great TV. You hate that they're all the most hateable people that you'll ever see, but they make great television. You would like Vanderpump Rules if you watch it. It gives Jersey Shore. It's Jersey Shore energy.
I love
It's
Jersey
good.
Shore.
You would love the first few seasons of Vanderpump Rules. It's wild. So after the roundtable, everybody's crying. Derek pulls Wes. He's like, I trust you 100%. I'm not saying this to anybody else, but like Rob, 100% a traitor. Like I believe it. He's a traitor. He's always on. Like, look at the way he's thinking. He's always thinking. And Wes is like, yeah, it's pretty scary. These two are going to team up, I think, and go for Rob probably next week if they can get a little momentum on their side. I think that's what we're going to see.
Does Wes have the backing? And does Derek have the backing? Is the real question. I feel like Derek, just because he's a cop, people are going to like give him the chance. Wes got ratted on pretty quickly, but I think naturally, just because it's Rob, he might be successful. I don't think either one of them could like be like these spearheaded like guys if it works out. I just think it's just like Rob is just so obviously a traitor. Yeah. It could be literally anybody. Like Sam or Tom Sandoval can say it, and everyone's gonna be like, I agree. It's just gonna take one of them to say it. But yeah,
I agree with you. I don't think individually they would have enough like influence to rally everybody, but I think if they're both on the same page, and then we heard Sam say, if you're still here, I'm looking at you tomorrow, which we know Rob's going to be there because he's not getting murdered. Ivar also was teetering, he ratted out Wes big time, but he also was like, explain why you're not. We had Bob Harper also say like, this would be a good move. And if Derek talks to Danielle and Danielle comes to her senses that, oh, you don't need to recruit a traitor to get rid of another traitor. You could just use the faithfuls to get rid of a traitor. Then I do think they could get enough votes. It only takes a few votes, really, because I feel like everybody else throws their votes all over the place to really get Rob. I think they're going to go for it. I don't know if it's going to be successful, but that is where we hear Derek say, like, I'm taking a shot.
I wanted to pose a question of, like, is Dylan a factor here? But I think this episode showed me specifically, and the last episode when Rob spoke up, that Dylan's here for himself. He's not going to say anything. Even if he feels strongly about someone, I think he's really learned from CT that like just do your own game and you don't need to keep trying to rally. He's playing like a combination of CT and Peter at the same time, where he's like traitor hunting, but he's not trying to run a vote, so it's very interesting with him either. Didn't the Efron brother suspect Rob? No, he fully believes that Rob is a faithful. He likes Rob.
He's obsessed with Rob.
But I don't think he's going to stick his neck out there to defend Rob either. So
yeah, I agree.
He's playing a pretty good game. I'll give him a lot of credit. People aren't going to talk about it, but Dylan is playing a fantastic Traitors game, in my opinion. Faithful game. And if they make a mistake making him a traitor, that could be bad news for them too. So I can't wait to see it.
I don't know. I wouldn't hate seeing him recruited. I think he has so much. I think it would be bad for them because I think he would potentially get to the end, but I think he could make a pretty good traitor if he accepted. We saw Peter decline the invitation last season because he's so morally upstanding, Peter. But I don't know if Dylan would do the same thing. I think Dylan is a little bit more of a, I think he wants to play the game. Not that Peter wasn't, but Peter was like, had a moral high ground or whatever, or he thought he did. We do hear Derek say, if Rob is smart, he murders me tonight. Otherwise, I'm coming for him. So we might get a show next week.
And be
But
like, yeah, you've
speaking
been wearing your hat backwards and use profanity, so I think you're a
Yeah, I
traitor.
think you're a traitor. Yeah, that
Yeah.
backwards hat. You mixed, like, a velvet blazer with, like, a shiny shirt and a backwards hat, like, we gotta get rid of you.
Okay.
So we also see in the kitchen, speaking of Dylan, he's talking to Carolyn, and he's like, "Listen, someone I really trust is putting your name out there, and I don't believe that it's you, and I'm trying to get them to stop, and, like, I'm talking them out of it, and I think it's working, but, like, I just need you to know." And she was like, "Who is it?" And he's like, "No, I can't say." And she's like, "No, I swear, like, I'm not gonna say anything." He's like, "You swear?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then he goes and spills the beans at his number 1, Danielle Reyes, not realizing he's outing traitor to traitor, goes ahead and spills the beans to Carolyn that Danielle is throwing her right in front of that bus.
Isn't it funny that like all the gamers keep giving all this information to Dylan and Ivar, and both of these guys are like just leaking every single thing they say to the other person. They're like, I'm telling you, this is the better version of Peter and John. They're not even working
Yeah, it
together.
is, it is. It's
Like,
true, it's like
they,
they evolved as Pokemon. This is like their evolved form.
yeah. I don't even think they know like the impact they have on the house right
No,
now,
they have
but they
no
are like
idea.
causing so much division, and it's not even on purpose. It's wild.
Mhm, mhm. Totally, totally. Carolyn is shocked. She's basically like she's pissed. She's eating her Fruit Loops very aggressively, and she's just like, "Yeah, tell her to come for me at the round table, like, whatever, tell her to bring it to the table." But he's like, "No, no, no, like, I think I'm doing a good job talking her out of it," which, like, I don't know if you are, Dylan, but, we get confessionals from Carolyn saying, "This whole time I've been worried about Rob, but I really should be worried about Danielle. Like, she's the one causing all the chaos. Like, I'm coming for both of them, basically. I don't trust either one of them, and I'm coming for both of them." Which I don't
Mm,
think is the right move for Carolyn. You need to buddy up with Rob. Buddy up with Rob,
I
and
don't even
you could
think it
save
will
each
work for
other.
her. She hasn't put the rapport in with anybody to really like try to spearhead any kind of vote.
Yeah. She
Um,
needs Rob on her
yeah,
side.
it's about to be Carolyn. I don't even know if that's correct because everyone's coming for Rob next episode. So it's going to be Rob versus Wes and Derek, and
Mhm.
then it's going to be Carolyn versus Danielle. Like, Carolyn does not handle adversity well, and this is about to be so ugly. We're about to get new traders, Katie. I hope you're
Oh my
ready.
god. I think we're gonna get, like, 3 new traders within the
Yeah,
I think they're all
like
out.
this is
They're all out.
like they're done. They're
They're
done.
done.
Like this is horrible.
Totally done. I think, I don't know if you saw the preview for next week at the end of the episode, but it looks like we are in for a mess, and we do see Carolyn in the and I don't know if anybody considers previews spoilers, but, like, whatever. But we did see Carolyn in the turret saying, like, "I'm coming for you both. Like, I don't trust either one of you, and I'm coming for you
In the
both,"
round
which is a
table.
and the round table, we saw her verbally, I mean, she's coming for Danielle at the round table. We see it. So it's
Also,
messy.
very
We're in for a mess.
bold preview too. For them to show roundtable footage that early, I thought was crazy.
Yeah, me too,
Um,
me too.
and I really don't think it's going to matter. I still think Rob's going to go home.
I think so
So
too. I think they're throwing us off the scent. I
yeah.
think it's Rob next week, and then I think we will see what happens between the girls. But
Mhm.
I think next week is Rob's week.
I'm here for it. I'm here for the chaos, Katie. This is why I watch the traders for.
Every episode more chaotic than the last.
This is my favorite season. I told you so
Yeah, mine
far.
too.
It's my favorite season out of the U.S. At least. It's my favorite one so
Yes.
far.
Mine too. It's my favorite US season for sure. Last season I loved Phaedra. I thought she gave us great TV, but she was the most entertaining part of last season. The rest was like kind of a flop. This, it's like every episode is just unhinged, and I love it.
Yeah,
I
it's
want these people to give me chaos, and they're giving me
it's
chaos.
very BB10 more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Very
in.
Big
I'm in for
Brother
the
to me.
ride. I'm
Me
not
too.
rooting for anybody. I'm not picking a winner. I mean, everybody I was rooting for is gone. Jeremy was my guy. He's gone. I was hoping some of my housewives would have made it. I wanted more Dorinda, but like everybody's delivering good TV. So I'm not mad at anybody.
I don't actually hate anyone in this cast. This is a great cast.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. This cast is like surprisingly working for
Even
me.
Tom Sandoval.
He's good TV. I've said it the whole time he's good TV. So I don't want him to win, but I think he's good
No, no,
TV.
no, no. Yeah, yeah.
He makes me laugh every episode. If I'm laughing at him, but I'm still
Not
laughing, you know
with
what I
them.
mean? I'm not
Yeah,
laughing with him. No,
yeah,
but
yeah.
at least I'm laughing.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Any last thoughts on this chaotic episode? Anything you're hoping for next week?
Tom Sandoval to get recruited as a traitor would be primetime television.
Oh,
So
I
I'm
would
hoping
pay.
for
I
it.
would pay for it.
I'm expecting a recruitment within the next 2 episodes, though.
I think so. I think we're gonna have to see one for sure. I think a
Yeah.
traitor's going next week for sure.
What?
My money's on Rob.
For my sake and credibility, I'm not agreeing with that, but we'll see.
We'll see. We'll come back next week and we will see if I won, if I'm winning our bet or not. We still have another week after that, though. I think.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
2
yeah.
weeks. We have
We
some
don't.
time. We have some time.
Plenty.
Cool. Well, Isaiah, where can the people find you?
At 8 Ball Bangers on Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, and everything else that is fun. And you can find us here as well, talking about Deal or No Deal Island with the great Dr. Will and Parvati and all those other people on that show. So yeah. How about you, Katie?
Yeah, I'm so happy that we finally got some good Dr. Will content this week. I'm sad I'm not going to be here to talk about it with you guys tomorrow, but I'm excited that we got some great Dr. Will television. He's an icon and a legend forever. But you can find me up on Blue Sky at realsomekatie.bluesky.social. And yeah, you can find me here every week talking about the Traitors, and I'll be popping in. I think we're mixing up our schedule a little bit for Dondi, so I'll pop in when I can. And yeah, that's it. Find me on the internet. I'm here. And you can find us. I just have to find our little banner. Anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, we're available on all audio platforms. So like, subscribe, rate us 5 stars if you like what you heard. Save your rating. You can only do it once, so save it until you found something 5 stars to drop your stars on. And follow us everywhere on the internet at Silent Podcast. Just search for us and you'll find it. We're on X, formerly known as Twitter. Still, I think, right? We still have that account. And we are on Blue Sky. So follow us there. And till next time, we'll be back. Good night.
You get Traitors hoods.
I know we got to get some hoods next week. We'll wear hoods next week. Look forward to that. Bye, guys.